Good morning. Well, this is fitting that it's the two of you because I'm going to talk about my husband, who's a veteran, and that's Emery's Uncle Billy, and Eric loves Billy as well, comes and visits him. And my dad was in the Army, my husband was in the Army, my father-in-law, William, your grandfather, was in the Navy, and Billy's uncle was a Marine, right? It was a Marine. So we've both been surrounded by a lot of military memories and family members. So the first thing I asked my husband, I said, I got to talk to the kids about, what's it like, what was it like to be in the Army? So he said he volunteered, and the reason that he volunteered was because he wanted to carry on his grandfather's business. So he went into the Army as a mechanic, and so, because his grandfather's equipment was always breaking down, and he thought, if I go and learn how to be a really good mechanic, then I can carry on my grandfather's business. So that's why he volunteered. So he ended up going to boot camp in 1983 at Fort Jackson in South Carolina. He was 18, hardly been out of Maine, maybe went to Disney once, basically right off the farm. And he said it was really hot, and he didn't like it. And he said boot camp was really intense. They wake you up really early in the morning, and they make you do all these exercises, and then they have sneak inspections, and you have to make sure your boots are shined up. Now, if you know Uncle Billy, that's not Uncle Billy, so it was a challenge for him. And they basically train you to be a soldier. Well, one of my favorite stories of his boot camp years was he said that he was really good. He was a excellent shooter. He was excellent throwing the hand grenades, all that stuff, but he just couldn't march. He kept mixing his left foot up from his right foot, and he just really had a hard time. So, and the drill sergeants really gave him a hard time about it, but he said he was so good at all the other stuff, and he helped all his buddies get better at the other stuff, they'd stick him in the middle, and they'd cover for him, so he wouldn't get in trouble with his marching. So he did really well, and then he actually, this picture, I'm embarrassed to say that this has been sitting in our moose room, this big room we have at home, and I didn't know that was from his boot camp till I asked him yesterday, and this is his picture from boot camp. So I thought that was really neat. And when I asked him, he had these books he pulled out, and he was actually, really excited to talk to me about it with such pride. That's one thing I've noticed about veterans and being around veterans. They just have so much pride and love for our country. And they just have a special heart that like your policemen and your firemen, because they serve our country. And like he has these books, and he was all proud, and we were going through them. If you guys want to look at them later on, it's really interesting. It shows like what boot camp was like and all that. So then he got shipped over to Korea, and he calls it his tour of duty. And he said that a lot of people don't know, but that was considered active duty. And if you've ever seen the show MASH, he said for 3 months he was basically on the border, called the DMZ or something like that. I don't know if I got the term right. And he said that was pretty intense. That was hard. And things happened to him that it took him years to tell me about. And it was only 3 months. And he said he knows veterans that have to do these tour duties over and over and over. And he said it's got to be really hard because some of the stuff that they do go through and see. But on a good note, my husband's a bit of a rascal. And he's told me some pretty funny stories. He's quite a little jokester. Like, for example, some of the guys, he would tell them, can you go get me a left-handed wrench? And they'd really go look for a left-handed wrench. Or, can you get me a light bulb repair kit? And they'd really go look for a light bulb repair kit. But my favorite story about Korea that my husband tells, this is what a rascal he is. He told this guy, a big wig came, I don't know if it was a general, had to get his Jeep fixed. And he said, well, you have to go up that hill and get special water to put in that Jeep. Well, this hill was off the base. So and Billy he thought he knew he was kidding. The kid actually went up the hill to get this water, and he was lost, and Billy got in really bad trouble. He said, I had to do a lot of push-ups after that. So then when he came back stateside, he said he was in Oklahoma at Fort Sill for about 2.5 years. And he said that was kind of boring, actually. After being active duty, that was more stateside. but he had to sleep in a tent a lot. To this day, I cannot get my husband to go camping. He will not go near a tent. Won't do it. We can't have it. But the one thing that he has shared with me, which I found interesting, was when he got out. Now, his grandfather's business had somewhat dissolved. It was 4 years later, so he never really got his dream. So then he had to go out and start looking for a job. And he was all gung-ho. I've served my country, and he was all proud. And he was disappointed because he felt like people didn't appreciate it. They were like, and back in the 80s, it wasn't as appreciated as it is now. So if I leave you with any message, just remember that our veterans go through a lot. They serve our country, they're proud. And now, he says, people come up to him in the grocery store and they thank him for his service. And that really means a lot to him. So I think you as kids, if you go up to a veteran and thank them for the service, trust me, it means a lot to them.
Amen.
Thank you.